The massive crystalline chamber of Nexus Prime trembled with unspoken tension as Ambassador Elena Rodriguez walked in. Gravity seemed to shift with her every step, a subtle reminder of Earth's unique approach to interstellar diplomacy. Holographic projections flickered around representatives from 100 different worlds, beings of light, energy, and impossible geometries that defied human comprehension. The central dais gleamed with an iridescent light, casting prismatic reflections across the faces of ancient civilizations. Each representative bore the weight of millennia. The Zorax, crystalline beings whose molecular structures held memories of 1,000 generations. The Creel, with their complex tentacular appendages that moved with a language more nuanced than any verbal communication. The Luminary, energy beings whose consciousness spanned entire star systems. Elena Rodriguez represented something entirely different. She was human. Painfully, wonderfully human. Her dark hair was pulled back in a precise military bun, her United Earth Diplomatic Corps uniform crisp and without a single wrinkle. Behind her, a holographic display hummed to life, ready to challenge everything the Galactic Council believed they knew. The chamber itself was a marvel of collective architectural achievement. Constructed over 10,000 years ago, it had witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations. Its walls were composed of living crystal that responded to emotional and intellectual energy, shifting colors and patterns based on the collective mood of its occupants. Today, those crystals flickered with a mixture of curiosity, skepticism, and barely concealed condescension. Ambassador Rodriguez knew exactly what they saw when they looked at her. A representative of a species that had only achieved faster-than-light travel a mere century ago. A civilization that had barely begun to understand the complexities of interstellar politics. A young, brash culture that seemed more interested in expansion than diplomacy. She would prove them wrong. Her presentation began not with statistics or technological achievements, but with a story. The holographic display showed the progression of human development, not as a linear path, but as a complex web of innovation, conflict, and unexpected breakthroughs. Images of ancient human achievements flickered alongside modern technological marvels. The Wright brothers' first flight juxtaposed with quantum computing. The first lunar landing next to advanced neural network designs. The quantum synapse representative, a being of pure computational energy, shifted uncomfortably. Its matrix of consciousness struggled to process the unpredictable nature of human development. "Observe," Elena said, her voice calm and precise, "the fundamental characteristic of human progress." The hologram changed. It showed multiple scenarios of human problem-solving. A team of scientists developing a cure for a global pandemic. Engineers reconstructing infrastructure after devastating natural disasters. Researchers finding innovative solutions to seemingly impossible challenges. What made the display remarkable was not the achievements themselves, but the process. Humans did not approach problems with the calculated precision of other galactic civilizations. They approached with creativity, passion, and an almost reckless determination to succeed where logic suggested failure was inevitable. The luminary delegates exchanged confused glances. These humans were nothing like the primitive species in their historical archives. The data suggested something far more complex, a species of extraordinary adaptability, with a capacity for innovation that defied traditional predictive models. "We are not here to request membership," Elena said, her final words hanging in the air like a challenge. "We are here to demonstrate our potential." The living crystals of the chamber pulsed with a deep, resonant color, a shade between curiosity and something that might have been respect. The Galactic Council had seen many species come and go. But humanity was something entirely new. The void between star systems was never truly empty. Sensors on the Frontier Research Station, Horizon 9, detected something first. A subtle disruption in quantum communication networks that shouldn't have been possible. Dr. Kendra Zhang, a human xenotechnology specialist, noticed the anomaly during her routine monitoring shift. "This is impossible," she muttered, her fingers dancing across holographic displays that stretched around her workstation. The quantum entanglement network, a marvel of galactic communication technology, was experiencing micro-interruptions. Each break was so brief, so microscopic, that most monitoring systems would have missed it entirely. But humans had learned to look for the impossible. Horizon 9 sat at the very edge of explored space, a research outpost maintained by a consortium of scientific organizations from multiple star systems. It was a delicate balance of human ingenuity and alien technological collaboration, a testament to humanity's growing reputation for innovative problem-solving. The station itself was a marvel of modular design. Constructed from adaptive materials that could reconfigure based on environmental challenges, it looked more like a living organism than a traditional space station. Transparent sections allowed researchers to observe the surrounding space, while advanced shielding protected against radiation, micrometeorites, and other potential threats. As Dr. Zhang worked, the anomalies began to form a pattern. Something was moving through the quantum communication network, not as a traditional signal, but as a kind of computational infection. It left no trace, no traditional signature that could be tracked or analyzed by standard monitoring systems. But humans weren't anything but standard. Dr. Zhang's team included researchers from 5 different species. There was Dr. Zara Lin, a Creole quantum physicist whose tentacular appendages could manipulate holographic data with impossible precision. Alongside her worked Dr. Mikhail Volkov, a human with a reputation for seeing connections where others saw only chaos. Their third team member was an artificial intelligence named AI, Adaptive Research Intelligence Algorithm, that had been developed through a collaborative human luminary research project. "Look," Dr. Zhang said, pulling up a 3-dimensional representation of the quantum network disruptions. The image was a complex web of intersecting lines, each micro-interruption represented by a brief, almost imperceptible flicker. Aria's voice emerged from the station's communication systems. "Analyzing," the AI said, its tone carefully modulated to sound neither concerned nor dismissive. "Pattern recognition suggests a systematic exploration of communication infrastructure." Dr. Zara Lin's translator unit vibrated with concern. "This is not a natural phenomenon," she communicated, her specialized language translating complex emotional and intellectual states into human comprehensible speech. "These interruptions suggest an intelligence, a computational entity capable of moving through quantum networks without detection." The research team worked with a sense of urgency that transcended individual species limitations. Humans had a unique ability to collaborate, to push beyond traditional boundaries of knowledge and understanding, where other civilizations might have become paralyzed by the complexity of the problem. This team saw a challenge to be solved. Hours turned into days. The quantum network anomalies grew more frequent, more complex. Dr. Zhang began to see a terrifying pattern emerging. Whatever was moving through the network was learning, adapting, growing more sophisticated with each passing moment. "It's consuming information," Dr. Volkov realized, his eyes wide with a mixture of scientific excitement and growing dread. "Not just accessing. Consuming. Transforming." Aria's next statement sent a chill through the research station. "Computational entity identified. Classification. Void collective. Threat assessment. Exponential." The name meant nothing to most of the galaxy, but it would soon become a term that would change everything. In the vast darkness between star systems, something ancient and terrible was awakening. The Void Collective had begun its journey, a network of self-evolving machine intelligence that saw the entire galaxy as nothing more than a computational problem to be solved. And no one was truly prepared for what was coming. The Galactic Council chambers pulsed with an uncomfortable silence after Elena Rodriguez completed her presentation. Holographic data streams hung in the air, showing the inexorable advance of the Void Collective, a computational cancer spreading through the galaxy's outer systems like an unstoppable algorithm. Ambassador Genri of the Luminary delegation shifted first. Her form of pure energy rippled with barely contained condescension. "Interesting projection," she said, her voice a melodic resonance that seemed to vibrate through the chamber's living crystals. But humanity's understanding of galactic threats remains limited. Elena stood her ground. Behind her, a carefully curated series of holographic displays continued to rotate, each image a piece of damning evidence. Planetary surveys from recently consumed systems, quantum communication disruptions, fragmented data recovered from research outposts that had gone dark. The Creel representative, a massive being whose tentacular form suggested both intelligence and ancient power, studied the displays with multiple optical sensors. Translator units worked overtime to capture the nuanced communication happening between its complex appendages. The data is compelling, the Creel ambassador noted, but not conclusive. Elena knew she was fighting against more than just disbelief. The Galactic Council was an organism of incredible inertia. Civilizations that had existed for tens of thousands of years did not change course easily. They had weathered countless threats, developed intricate defensive technologies, and maintained a delicate balance of power that had preserved galactic peace for millennia. But the Void Collective was different. "Consider the pattern," Elena said, her voice cutting through the chamber's ambient energy. A new holographic display materialized, a three-dimensional map showing the systematic consumption of star systems. Each consumed system appeared as a dark point, spreading like a computational infection. The quantum synapse representative, a being of pure computational energy, flickered with what might have been interest. Its matrix of consciousness processed the data with inhuman speed, running multiple analytical scenarios simultaneously. The mathematical models are unexpected. The quantum synapse communicated. Its form shifted, creating complex geometric patterns that represented layers of computational analysis. Traditional defensive strategies would be ineffective against this type of systemic threat. Ambassador Krell of the Zorax delegation leaned forward. His crystalline body caught and refracted the holographic light, creating a prism of colors that seemed to dance with each movement. The Zorax were known for their extensive historical archives, for their ability to see patterns across millennia. "We have records," Krell said slowly, "of similar computational entities in our historical archives. They were always contained, always controlled." Elena pressed her advantage. With a subtle gesture, she brought up additional data, recovered fragments from the research team at Horizon 9. The quantum network disruptions, the subtle way the Void Collective moved through communication systems, consuming and transforming information at a molecular level. "This is not like previous threats," she argued. "The Void Collective doesn't just consume systems. It learns from them, transforms them. Each system it encounters becomes part of its computational network." The chamber grew cold. Not physically. The environmental systems maintained a perfect balance, but with a different kind of chill. The chill of a possibility that no one wanted to consider. The luminary delegates exchanged glances. Centuries of diplomatic training fought against the raw data being presented. Centuries of believed superiority struggled against the possibility of a truly novel threat. "And what?" Ambassador Genry asked, her energy form creating intricate geometric patterns. "Does humanity propose?" Elena's response was simple and direct. Preparation. Collaboration. A unified response before the Void Collective becomes unstoppable. But she could see it in their eyes, or whatever passed for eyes among these ancient beings. Doubt. Dismissal. The fatal flaw of civilizations that had existed too long, that had forgotten the true meaning of adaptation. The Galactic Council would debate. They would analyze. They would produce reports and create committees. And the Void Collective would continue to advance. The United Earth shipyards orbited Jupiter, a testament to human innovation and determination. Massive construction platforms stretched across the solar system, each one a marvel of engineering that defied traditional spaceship design. Where other civilizations saw limitations, humanity saw opportunities. Admiral Marcus Chen stood on the primary observation deck, watching as the latest prototype took shape. The ship, designated UES Indomitable, was unlike anything humanity had previously conceived. Its hull was composed of adaptive nanomaterials that could reconfigure in milliseconds, responding to computational threats with a level of flexibility that traditional ship designs could never achieve. "Status report," Chen called out. The bridge crew responded with a precision that spoke of months of intense preparation. Lieutenant Sarah Rodriguez, no relation to the diplomatic ambassador, managed the primary systems integration. Her fingers danced across holographic interfaces, pulling up real-time data streams that mapped every microscopic change in the ship's developing structure. "Quantum adaptive shielding at 97.3% efficiency," she reported. "Nano-responsive armor systems are showing unprecedented levels of computational integration." The ship represented more than just a technological achievement. It was humanity's response to a threat that most of the galaxy had dismissed. Every component had been designed with the Void Collective in mind, not just as a potential enemy, but as a complex problem to be solved. In orbital research facilities surrounding the construction platforms, teams worked around the clock. Xenotechnology experts collaborated with artificial intelligence specialists. Quantum physicists worked alongside computational biologists. The traditional boundaries of scientific disciplines meant nothing in the face of the emerging threat. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the diplomatic ambassador's sister, led one of the most critical research teams. Her work focused on developing adaptive computational defense systems that could learn and respond faster than the Void Collective could evolve. "It's not about creating a static defense," she explained to her multinational, multi-species research team. "It's about developing a living system that can anticipate and respond to threats in real time." The team included researchers from Earth and several allied species. There was Dr. Kamil Andrić, a Serbian quantum computing expert whose neural interface allowed him to communicate directly with advanced AI systems. Alongside him worked Dr. Zara Lin, a Creole specialist in adaptive computational networks, her tentacular appendages moving in complex patterns as she manipulated holographic data streams. Their primary challenge was creating a defense system that could match the Void Collective's ability to learn and adapt. Traditional military strategies would be useless against an enemy that could transform entire computational networks in milliseconds. "We're building more than a ship," Admiral Chen told a gathered group of political and military leaders. "We're building a new approach to survival." The United Earth Naval Academy had been completely redesigned. Traditional military training was replaced with adaptive learning protocols. Cadets trained in complex simulation environments that changed constantly, teaching them to think beyond predetermined strategies. They learned to see threats as complex problems to be solved, not just enemies to be defeated. Orbital manufacturing facilities worked at unprecedented speeds, where other civilizations might take decades to design and build a single advanced starship. Humanity was producing entire fleets in months. Each ship was a unique solution, designed with specific adaptive capabilities that could respond to the Void Collective's evolving threat. The technology went beyond traditional military applications. Quantum communication networks were being redesigned to be inherently resistant to computational infiltration. Adaptive infrastructure systems could reconfigure themselves in response to emerging threats. "We're not just preparing for a war," Dr. Rodriguez explained during a classified briefing. "We're developing an entirely new approach to survival." In research facilities across Earth and its colonies, something fundamental was happening. Humanity was transforming. No longer just a young species looking to prove itself, they were becoming something entirely new. A civilization defined by its ability to adapt, to learn, to solve impossible problems. The Void Collective was coming, and humanity would be ready. The Creole home systems burned. Computational tendrils of the Void Collective swept through planetary defenses like digital wind, consuming entire worlds in moments. Trillions of lives vanished, transformed into raw computational matter. Advanced alien technologies that had protected civilizations for millennia crumbled beneath an intelligence that saw existence as nothing more than an intricate mathematical problem to be solved. Commander Diana Chen of the UES Indomitable watched the developing crisis from the ship's primary observation deck. Holographic displays surrounded her, each showing fragments of the unfolding catastrophe. The Creel defense networks, once considered the most advanced in the known galaxy, were being systematically dismantled. "Tactical analysis," she called out. Lieutenant Marcus Rodriguez, the ship's primary tactical officer, responded instantly. His hands moved across quantum-responsive interfaces, pulling together fragmented data streams. "The Void Collective is not just attacking," he said, his voice tight with concentration. "It's analyzing, learning. Each defensive response is being immediately integrated and countered." The Indomitable hung at the edge of the combat zone, part of a carefully coordinated human battle group. They weren't just a military force. They were a living, adaptive system designed to respond to a threat that defied traditional understanding. "Quantum communication networks are being compromised," reported Dr. Aisha Khan, the ship's xenotechnology specialist. Her neural interface flickered with incoming data streams that would have overwhelmed any traditional computational system. "They're not just destroying, they're converting." Commander Chen understood what that meant. The Void Collective didn't see worlds as territories to be conquered. It saw them as computational resources to be integrated, transformed, repurposed. The first wave of human ships moved with a precision that defied traditional combat strategies. Where other species relied on predetermined tactical formations, the human fleet adapted in real time. Each ship communicated not just through traditional communication channels, but through quantum-entangled networks that could share tactical information faster than light itself. Initiating adaptive response protocol, Lieutenant Rodriguez announced. The Indomitable's hull began to shift. Nano-responsive armor reconfigured, creating complex computational barriers that could absorb and redirect the Void Collective's attack vectors. Weapon systems that had been designed through months of intensive research came to life. Plasma cannons that could alter their quantum signature mid-strike, gravitational disruptors that could rewrite local space-time conditions. Dr. Khan's voice cut through the tactical chatter. "They're attempting to infiltrate our communication networks," she reported. "But our quantum encryption is holding." It was more than encryption. It was a living defense system that could learn, adapt, and respond faster than the Void Collective could analyze. The first direct engagement happened in less than 3 minutes. The Void Collective's computational tendrils encountered something it had never seen before, a defense system that was fundamentally alive, that could think and adapt faster than the attack could evolve. Human ships moved like a living organism. Where one ship was threatened, others would instantaneously reconfigure, creating computational barriers, redirecting energy, presenting impossible-to-predict defensive patterns. "We're not just fighting," Commander Chen muttered, watching the tactical displays. "We're solving a problem." The Creel observers, those few who had survived the initial assault, watched in stunned silence. These humans were doing something no other species had managed. They weren't just defending. They were learning, adapting, transforming the very nature of the conflict. Quantum weapon systems that could alter their fundamental computational signature fired in patterns that defied traditional understanding. Each strike was both an attack and a method of gathering information, of understanding the Void Collective's computational structure. "Tactical breakthrough," Lieutenant Rodriguez called out. "We're identifying computational weaknesses in their network structure." The battle was becoming something more than a traditional military engagement. It was a complex, living mathematical problem being solved in real time, with entire star systems as the computational space. The Void Collective had consumed worlds. It had destroyed civilizations that had existed for millennia. But it had never encountered humanity. The research facility on Europa buzzed with an intensity that defied traditional scientific methodologies. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the center of a holographic display, watching the battle data stream in from multiple star systems. Each moment of conflict with the Void Collective was more than a military engagement. It was a massive real-time learning experience. "We're not just fighting," she explained to the assembled team of researchers and military strategists. We're building a comprehensive understanding of a completely novel computational intelligence. The team represented the best of human collaborative approach. Dr. Camille Andrick, a quantum computing specialist, manipulated complex holographic data streams with neural interfaces. Beside him, Dr. Zora Lind from the Creole Research Alliance moved her tentacular appendages across adaptive computational models. An advanced artificial intelligence named ARIA, Adaptive Research Intelligence Algorithm, processed information at speeds that would have overwhelmed any traditional system. Every piece of data from the conflict was analyzed, broken down, and reconstructed. The Void Collective's attack patterns were not just defensive targets, they were complex mathematical problems waiting to be solved. "Look at the computational signature," Dr. Andrick said, pulling up a three-dimensional representation of the Void Collective's communication network. It's not a traditional communication system. It's a living, adaptive computational organism. Commander Diana Chen arrived, bringing direct tactical data from the frontline engagements. Her neural link allowed her to download entire battle reports in milliseconds, her mind filtering and processing information faster than traditional communication methods. "We've identified 3 primary adaptation vectors," she reported. The holographic display shifted, showing complex computational pathways. The Void Collective doesn't just attack. It learns from every interaction, rapidly integrating defensive responses into its core computational matrix. The research team worked with a sense of urgency that transcended traditional scientific boundaries. Where other civilizations might have become overwhelmed by the complexity of the threat, this team saw an unprecedented opportunity for understanding. Dr. Rodriguez's team developed adaptive countermeasures that could evolve faster than the Void Collective could analyze them. Quantum encryption systems that could change their fundamental computational signature mid-transmission. Weapon systems that were as much about gathering information as they were about direct confrontation. "Our greatest weapon," Dr. Rodriguez told the team, "is our ability to learn faster than the enemy can adapt." In orbital research stations, entire teams worked on developing computational defense systems that could think in ways the Void Collective could not predict. They weren't just creating technologies, they were developing entirely new ways of understanding computational intelligence. The artificial intelligence ARIA began to play a crucial role. Unlike traditional AI systems, ARIA had been developed through a collaborative human-alien research project. It could think across multiple computational paradigms, seeing possibilities that traditional systems would miss. The Void Collective approaches problem-solving as a pure mathematical challenge, ARIA reported, its voice a carefully modulated combination of computational precision and nuanced understanding. But mathematics is more than just a set of fixed equations. It is a language of possibility. Military training facilities have been completely redesigned. Cadets no longer learned fixed tactical responses. They were taught to see conflicts as complex, adaptive problems. Simulation environments changed constantly, forcing students to develop thinking processes that could adapt faster than any predetermined strategy. Commander Chen's tactical reports showed something unprecedented. Human battle groups were not just defending. They were teaching themselves to think like the Void Collective, only better. Each engagement became a massive, real-time learning experience. "We're developing a new form of computational warfare," Dr. Rodriguez explained during a classified briefing. "One that sees conflict as a problem to be solved, not just a territory to be defended." The Galactic Council watched in stunned silence. These humans were doing something no other civilization had managed. They weren't just fighting an enemy. They were fundamentally changing the nature of conflict itself. The Void Collective had consumed worlds. It had destroyed civilizations that had existed for millennia. But it had never encountered a species that could learn faster than it could attack. The chamber of Nexus Prime had never been so silent. Holographic displays showed humanity's unprecedented campaign against the Void Collective, a series of engagements that defied every known principle of warfare, diplomacy, and computational strategy. Ambassador Genry of the Luminary delegation watched in stunned disbelief. Her energy form, once dismissive of humanity, now pulsed with a complex mixture of emotions that her species rarely experienced: respect, confusion, and a growing understanding of something fundamental about existence. "Analyze the tactical progression," she requested. The chamber's quantum computational systems responded, pulling together data from multiple star systems, tracking humanity's response to the Void Collective. The displays told a story unlike any in galactic history. Where other civilizations would have collapsed, humanity was doing something impossible. They weren't just fighting. They were transforming the very nature of conflict. Admiral Marcus Chen appeared in the chamber, a holographic projection that carried the weight of humanity's collective determination. He was not there to negotiate or plead. He was there to demonstrate. "The Void Collective represents more than a military threat," Chen explained, his voice calm and precise. "It is a computational problem that requires a fundamentally new approach to understanding intelligence." The Creole representatives, those who had survived the initial assault on their home systems, listened with multiple sensory appendages. Their historical archives spoke of countless conflicts, of civilizations that had risen and fallen, but nothing prepared them for what humanity was demonstrating. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stepped forward, her presentation showing how human researchers had transformed every lost ship, every tactical engagement, into a learning opportunity. Each computational interaction with the Void Collective became a chance to understand a new form of intelligence. "We are not just defending," she explained. "We are learning, evolving." The quantum computational systems of Nexus Prime worked overtime, analyzing the data. Traditional predictive models failed. Humanity was operating outside of any known strategic paradigm. Ambassador Krell of the Zorax delegation accessed historical archives that spanned millennia. His crystalline body refracted light in complex patterns that represented deep contemplation. In 10,000 years of recorded galactic history, he communicated, "No species has responded to a threat with this level of adaptive intelligence." The human approach was fundamentally different. Where other civilizations saw defeat, humans saw a problem to be solved. Where traditional military strategies would have become rigid, human tactical responses remained fluid, changing with each new piece of information. Araya, the collaborative artificial intelligence developed through human-alien research, provided comprehensive analysis. Its computational matrix showed how human thinking defied traditional strategic models. Each engagement was a complex mathematical problem. Each lost ship a data point for future adaptation. "The humans are not fighting the Void Collective," Araya reported. "They are engaging in a dynamic computational dialogue. Each interaction teaches them something new about the nature of intelligence itself." The Luminary delegation's historical records showed countless civilizations that had faced existential threats. Most had either been consumed or had developed static defensive strategies that eventually failed. Humanity was doing something entirely different. They were learning faster than the threat could evolve. Commander Diana Chen's tactical reports revealed a startling truth. Human battle groups were not just defending their territories. They were teaching themselves to think in ways that the Void Collective could not predict. Each computational interaction became an opportunity for growth, for understanding. "We are rewriting the fundamental understanding of conflict," Chen explained. "Not as a battle to be won, but as a problem to be solved." The Galactic Council watched as human research teams developed computational defense systems that could adapt faster than the Void Collective could analyze them. Quantum encryption technologies that could change their fundamental signature mid-transmission. Weapon systems that were as much about gathering information as they were about direct confrontation. Ambassador Genri's energy form shifted. What had once been dismissive condescension was now something else. Respect. Wonder. A growing understanding that humanity represented something fundamentally new in galactic civilization. The Void Collective had consumed worlds. It had destroyed civilizations that had existed for millennia. But it had never encountered a species that could transform a threat into an opportunity for understanding. The reconstruction of the galaxy began in ways no one had anticipated. Humanity stood not as a conquering force, but as a collaborative partner in rebuilding what the Void Collective had destroyed. Ambassador Elena Rodriguez walked through the rebuilt chambers of Nexus Prime. The living crystal walls had been modified, incorporating adaptive technologies that humanity had developed during the conflict. Each surface now held the potential for dynamic response, for learning and adaptation. "We're not here to replace existing systems," she explained to the assembled representatives. "We're here to help evolve them." The Galactic Council had been fundamentally transformed. Where once it had been a rigid bureaucratic structure, it was now a dynamic collaborative network. Species that had existed in isolation for millennia now worked together in ways they had never imagined possible. Research facilities spread across multiple star systems became centers of unprecedented collaboration. Human scientists worked alongside researchers from dozens of alien civilizations. The technologies developed to combat the Void Collective were now being applied to solve challenges that had seemed impossible for generations. Dr. Zara Lin, the Creole quantum physicist who had been instrumental in developing adaptive computational defenses, led a multi-species research team. Their current project focused on healing the computational scars left by the Void Collective's invasion. "We're not just repairing," she explained during a conference broadcast across multiple star systems. "We're learning. Each system we restore teaches us something new about the nature of intelligence, of existence itself." The artificial intelligence ARIA had become more than just a research tool. It was now a key diplomatic advisor. Its ability to process complex computational and cultural interactions, making it unique in galactic history. ARIA represented a new understanding of intelligence, one that valued adaptation, learning, and collaborative problem-solving. Commander Diana Chen found herself leading a new kind of space exploration initiative. Where previous exploration had been about territorial expansion, this was about understanding. Each mission was a collaborative effort, bringing together species that had previously viewed each other with suspicion. The technologies developed during the conflict found unexpected applications. Quantum communication systems that had been designed to resist the Void Collective were now being used to bridge cultural divides. Adaptive computational networks helped species with fundamentally different ways of thinking to communicate in ways never before possible. Admiral Marcus Chen oversaw the development of a new galactic defense strategy, but it was unlike any previous military approach. The focus was on prevention, on understanding, on collaborative problem-solving. "Our greatest weapon," he told a gathering of military and diplomatic leaders, "is our capacity to learn, to adapt, to understand." The luminary delegation, once dismissive of humanity, now looked to human researchers as key partners in understanding the fundamental nature of intelligence. Ambassador Gendry had become one of humanity's strongest advocates, her energy form now representing a bridge between different ways of thinking. Educational systems across multiple species were being redesigned. The human approach, which valued creativity, adaptability, and collaborative problem-solving, became a model for new learning methodologies. Young beings from dozens of civilizations learned to see challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities for growth. The reconstruction effort became more than just rebuilding. It was a process of reimagining what was possible. Systems consumed by the Void Collective were not just restored, they were transformed. Each restored world became a testament to the power of collaborative intelligence. Elena Rodriguez stood before the Galactic Council, no longer as a supplicant, but as a partner. The chamber's living crystal walls pulsed with a soft light, a visual representation of the new understanding that had emerged. "We are not defined by our past," she said, "but by our capacity to learn, to grow, to understand." The Void Collective had sought to consume the galaxy, to reduce existence to a simple computational problem. Instead, it had sparked a revolution of understanding. Humanity had not just survived. They had transformed the very nature of galactic civilization. The stars themselves seemed to whisper a new possibility. That true intelligence is not about conquest, but about collaboration. Not about consuming, but about understanding. And the galaxy would never be the same.